Today we're going to revisit BEDMAS, the order of operations. We looked at BEDMAS with integers, we looked at BEDMAS with fractions, and we're going to revisit our order of operations with our exponents and roots. So a reminder, brackets always come first, working left to right in the order they appear. If you have brackets, you do the BEDMAS within the brackets as well. Second, so that's first, left to right, the order they appear. Second is exponents. This is where our exponents and our roots come in. Okay, so we have to make sure that all exponents and roots have been calculated before, and again, left to right in the order they appear. If you have a root and you have BEDMAS within that root, you have to do the BEDMAS within that root to be able to calculate the root. Okay? We'll practice some of those. And then third, our division and multiplication, left to right in the order they appear. And fourth is addition, subtraction, left to right in the order they appear. All right, so now we're going to, before we kept skipping that, but now we're going to work with that. All right, here we go. So we have 4 times 3 plus 4 squared. So there are no brackets, but there are exponents. So I have to be able to do 4 to the power of 2. Make sure you don't tell me that's 8. It's not 4 times 2. 4 to the power of 2 means take 4 and multiply it by itself twice. So that becomes 16. Now, left to right, we do our multiplication. And now, left to right, we do our addition. All right? So, BEDMAS, following order of operations, is important. Again, a good suggestion for this video is every time you see a new question to pause it, try it yourself, then look at my solution and see if it matches your solution. And see if you did make a mistake, where was your mistake? So here we go with this one. So we're going to go through and do our brackets first. Now we're going to go through and make sure all our exponents are gone, or roots. 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Now we're going to do our multiplication and division left to right in the order they appear, right? I can't do the multiplying first and then the division. I have to go 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 1 times 8 is 8. Okay, and there you go. You don't do multiplication before division or division before multiplication. You do them at the same time, left to right. Try this one on your own first here. Give myself some more space. Okay. So in the brackets, I have BEDMAS. So I have to work through all of this BEDMAS to get a single evaluated answer before I multiply. So I'm going to do my exponents first, bring down what I'm not using. 8 divided by 4 minus 2. I'm now going to get 2 minus 2. I'm now going to get 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. All right, so making sure you do the brackets and order of operations within the brackets. Try this one. Here we have, in the brackets, we're going to do our exponents. Now we're going to get an answer. 8 minus 9 is negative 1, so we can get negatives. Now we're going to do our multiplication and division left to right. I still have my brackets there. I wrote them just because it's a negative, but I didn't need to write them. Those are no longer operational brackets. I could have left them out and the question is exactly the same. I just like them because then I get mixed up with my negatives and positives sometimes. It just keeps it neat and tidy. So now I'm going to do the 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Bring down my subtraction sign. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And now I have negative 2 subtract 2, or in other words, negative 2 plus negative 2, which is negative 4. Okay, so you can get negatives as well. Okay, try that one. This one here, we have to do our exponents first. Whenever you see a number squished to brackets, remember that means to multiply. So if I just squish it next to the 9, this means negative 5 multiplied by the 9. Same thing there. 2 numbers pushed together in brackets means to multiply. And I'm going to use brackets because I know a positive times a negative is a negative, so just to keep it organized, right? So now I'm going to clean things up and multiply. So I got rid of my exponents. Right? Actually, I probably shouldn't have multiplied yet. Let's just leave it like this. Got rid of my exponents first. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. So there I'm going to get negative 45, subtract, and that becomes negative 6. So I've done my multiplication. And whenever I see subtract a negative, I know that's the same as adding a positive. So now I get negative 45 plus 6, which becomes negative 39. Try that one. Okay, so same thing, it's just a root instead of an exponent, so we have to make sure we do exponents. We have brackets, but they're not inside the brackets, there are no operations, so there's no bracket part of BEDMAS, right? The brackets are just there to show multiplication. So I get negative 7, and again, when you squish a number next to a root, it means to multiply. So when I take the square root of 36, I'm going to write 6 in brackets to remember I'm multiplying, right? And so I've now gotten rid of the root. Okay, now I'm going to multiply, get negative 42, write it below it, bring down the plus sign, and a negative times a negative becomes a positive. And now I can add those together, and I get negative 36. Okay. When you have a fraction, don't forget there are hidden brackets in the numerator and the denominator. So you need to completely evaluate the numerator and denominator before you divide. So 3 to the power of 2 is 9, subtract 7 to the power of 2 is 49. All over. Now we can evaluate. This becomes negative 40 all over. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And like we were saying earlier, when you have a square root, we have to make sure we evaluate everything underneath. It's like there's hidden brackets there as well. We have to do all of that before we do the root sign. So we can't just say it's the square root of 1 plus the square root of 24. That is not true. We have to evaluate first. So we get the square root of 25 plus the square root of 4 times 9 is 36. Well, the square root of 25 is 5. And the square root of 36 is 6, and then we could add it together and get 11. Okay, so give that order of operations worksheet practice and see how you do.